Good day to you and welcome to another Paddocks Club video tutorial. Today I'm going to tell you a few stories, all of them designed to emphasize the importance of being familiar with a sectional title scheme's sectional plan. You can't do a proper job of managing a scheme, whether you are a trustee or a managing agent, unless you have a copy of the registered sectional plan, or in the case of a phased scheme, copies of all registered sectional plans for that scheme. The first story arises from a query raised today on the discussion forum in our sectional title schemes management course. The student explained that in a small scheme where all the owners originally held registered exclusive use rights to garages under Section 27 of the Act, one of the units had, many years ago, been transferred without the associated exclusive use rights being ceded at the same time. The result was that the exclusive use rights vested in the body corporate, but nobody was aware of this. Since then, the unit has changed hands many times and none of the sellers or buyers have realized that they are not giving or taking rights to the relevant garage. Each owner has used the garage exclusively as if they did have exclusive use rights, of course. Now that this fact has come to light, some of the other owners are suggesting that the affected owner will need to buy these rights from the body corporate, and it was on that issue that the student was asking for advice. Now, one would have expected that each of the buyers would have wanted to check that the garage was either part of the section in the unit they were buying, or that they had rights to that garage under a separate title, or in terms of the scheme's rules. But in this instance, a whole series of buyers didn't bother to do this. One would also have thought that the managing agent, in issuing a levy clearance for each of the transfers, would have noticed that the rights associated with the garage were not being dealt with. But the managing agents didn't notice it, and this mess was the result. The second story, which I've only remembered when Anton told me the first one, involves a small scheme comprising two separate blocks, each containing 3 apartments on different levels. This happened some time ago, as you'll realize. When the first set of sales from the developers to the initial owners were recorded, the estate agents put the wrong unit numbers on the sale agreements. They got confused with the door numbers for the 2 mid-level apartments. In other words, the occupier of the middle apartment in the first block was in fact the owner of the middle apartment in the second block, and vice versa. Again, this was a situation that endured over a number of transactions in respect of each of the units involved. So a series of estate agents, a series of buyers and sellers, and a series of bondholders, as well as a series of conveyancers, all got it wrong. The problem only came to light when a new managing agent took over and closely inspected the sectional plan, compared it to the list of owners, and realized that these 2 mid-level owners were occupying one another's apartments. And of course, over the years, each of the occupiers had made changes to the interior of their apartment. So by the time the problem came to light, it was not a reasonable possibility that they would just be happy to pick up their furniture and exchange dwellings so as to ratify the original incorrect registrations. In this case, the answer was to do an exchange transfer between the 2 owners, but this did involve the cancellation of the existing bonds, registration of a transfer, an exchange transfer, and the registration of replacement bonds. The moral of these 2 stories is pretty obvious. One cannot assume anything in regard to the nature of sectional property. Every scheme has one or more sectional plan, and the estate agents, managing agents, and buyers, as well as the conveyancers involved in any transaction, should refer to those plans as well as to the data available from the deeds registry before finalizing any transaction. If you have any questions in regard to these issues, let's discuss them in the discussion forum.